Here at Ferme de Sambre, in the past we had a problem, we still have with some plants, but problem with the thickness of the stem. And one thing that often comes with that is short leaves. And on top of our leaves being shorter, they were also damaged by nutrient deficiencies. We have pH too high in the soil, so the nutrients are locked out. And it took us a while to realize that. And then we got a bit too enthusiastic about foliar sprays, and we damaged the plant with toxicity of like overdose on the leaves. So we were not in the best place, but we couldn't just prune the bad leaves like we talked about in the previous video, because we would have just made the plant naked without any capacity to photosynthesize and rebuild what it had lost. So what do you do in that time? Like, because the leaves are small, in the end, it's not the leaf count that is important, but it's the foliar area. Rule of thumb that people say is for every square foot of soil, you want to have 3 square foot of leaves. It's not very actionable as a tip, but the idea is just if the leaves are shorter, you need more leaves to do the same amount of energy. And to give you an idea, if the leaves are small, like 6 inches, you need 10 of those leaves to have the same capacity as one normal 18-inch long leaf. So when leaves are short, you drop a lot of the capacity of the plant to produce energy, to grow and to fill those fruits. Considering that a small leaf is 10 times less effective than a big one, you cannot expect to have a plant with 180 leaves, like having 10 times the leaf amount. So what do you do then? Well, first you need to fix the bottleneck, but then you have to find it, and it takes time and everything. So in the meantime, you can increase the foliar density, and that's what we're going to talk about in this lesson, is how to do that, how to increase the foliar area of your crop. And we'll use flag leaf to do that. And with those flag leaf, you can limit the impact that small foliar area can have on the photosynthesis, on your irrigation, and on the cooling capacity of the plant, because a plant that transpires with good foliar area can cool down the greenhouse by up to like 15 Fahrenheit, I think. So if you have short leaves, you just lose all that. So all of these factors will in the end influence the stem thickness, which is our indicator that the plant is in its productive zone.
Okay, so if we need to get some more leaves on our plants, one way to do that is to make what's called a flag leaf. And so what we would do is we would take, like here where we have a sucker coming off, you'll let this sucker grow up, but before it forms a flower cluster, like you can see right there, here's where the flower cluster is coming. You would pinch it right here above this third leaf before the flower cluster comes out, because the flower cluster is going to turn into a big energy sink when it grows flowers and fruit. And so you would pinch it right here, adding 1, 2, 3 leaves onto your plant where it would normally have none, because you would normally prune this sucker off. In that manner, by letting a sucker develop just enough to get the leaves without producing any fruit, you add energy sources to your plant without adding any energy sinks in the form of fruit. And the position of the sucker that you keep does matter. The sucker below a fruit cluster is always stronger than a fruit cluster coming out below another leaf. So you can see here, here's a flower cluster. So this is a sucker developing underneath this flower cluster. And so that's why we chose this. And you can keep 1 sucker per week until you are up to your target number of leaves. And then when you're at your target number of leaves, you go back to pruning it as normal tomato plant, as far as taking all the suckers off once you're back at your target number of leaves.
When do you want to use the flag leaf techniques? There are 2 main moments you want to think about that. The first one is when you see your leaves are small. So if your stem thickness is thin, that probably is the case for you. And remember, the ideal leaf length is 18 inches. The second times you want to use flag leaves is when you have damaged leaves like we had. You need to prune them because they're just a dead weight. When you do that, probably that you're gonna get lower than the leaf count you wanna have. In the end, it's the foliar area that is important, not the leaf count. So every time your foliar area is down, that's when you go for the flag leaves.